for your time and good morning to you.
Thank you, Zena. Thank you.
And let's start on that note. What is the difference? They said they were engaged in peacekeeping first. Now they are moving to peace enforcement. What changes?
So I think if you look at the statement carefully, it means that government has escalated the threat facing our community dwellers in Bawku and within the Bawku enclave. So what they have done is to move the military to the front line to maintain law and order instead of the police. And it's also to create a safe passage for the students to be evacuated as government has indicated in the subsequent statement. So that is where we are. What we have not done properly over the years is to define the Boko conflict properly and to look at the security assessment outcomes and whether to determine to see whether we are declaring Boko as a war zone, as a conflict zone, and what kind of methodologies to use in order to be able to address the public safety challenges we face at the place.
Well, do you think government is getting that right now? Because you're saying we've not been able to do a proper assessment of the threat levels. Do you feel that with this communication from government, we are moving from peacekeeping to peace enforcement? They've gotten it right.
Yes, I think that was the first line. That's the first line of what government has done. And we will need to review it after a week or two or three to see whether we are meeting the objectives or whatever intended purposes government has for deploying the military and for the wording they have brought out. Other than that, they have escalated it, and that is why the wording moved from enforcement, from mere enforcement to the levels we are talking about.
For those living in Bawku, what would this mean to them if you're doing peace enforcement?
Now, I think the curfew itself is very high, from 2 p.m. to 6 a.m. Curfews are short-term measures, but it's also the nature of the conflict we're talking about and the escalation of the breaches resulting in killing. It's going to create problems for them. It's going to affect economic activity. It's going to affect movement, and it will generally create discomfort for the people at Boko and the environment. But it's also my hope that this conflict will be resolved, the killings will stop, and peace will return back to Boko. Other than that, it's creating many problems for us. And to the extent that the effect of the conflict is getting downwards to Ashama, to Kumasi, where we requested or where we registered a number of killings in recent times, it might be getting out of hand, and government must act as quickly as possible.
And what further steps are you expecting from government, at least to curtail the ones that
Can you keep your mouth?
the ones that particularly?
Hello.
Yes, I was asking what further steps you're expecting from government to deal with some of the violence that's happening outside of Boko.
Now, I think what we haven't done properly as a nation is to prosecute people who flout our laws. And that is why the criminals have taken advantage of the vulnerabilities we are observing and creating all manner of mess in terms of killing people. Social media have contributed badly or negatively to this conflict. People could put other people's picture on social media and say, go and kill this person, but the next day the people are killed. And they have done it over a number of times, over a very long time. So I think what government would need to look at, let's look at the impact of social media. Let's see whether we are prosecuting people who flout our laws. Non-punishable of offenses will always rationalize bad behavior and promote antisocial tendencies in society. And I think we are not doing properly when it comes to that area.
So you're saying that government should do better at investigating, finding the perpetrators and prosecuting them for this individual acts.
Correct. And that is what we haven't done properly over all this while. And that is why criminals have taken advantage of the laxity and they are creating many vulnerability situations for the people at Bawku.
But do you see a threat to the current mediation process if this kind of violence continues?
To some extent, yes. To some extent, no. You know, when it comes to the mediation, the option we have chosen, the Shantahini mediation team, which has become a viable option for this country, their methodology is very slow. You cannot push them because that is the way they know, and that is what gives them the results. But considering the fact that people are dying on a larger scale now, that Kumasi, Greater Kumasi has been affected, We can only plead with them to speed it up a little bit. But slowness is one of the methodologies they use so that time in itself will buy out. Because time brings clarity, time brings understanding, time brings wisdom, and time brings knowledge. So they slow it down as a methodology so that time in itself will become a major factor when it comes to addressing the core issues. And so I believe it's rather speed it up or slow it down. But no matter what it is, that has become the viable option now. And we can only hope and pray. But that's notwithstanding, government, central government, the judiciary, the justice system must also help. Because sometimes police people arrest people, send them to court, and they are discharged the next day. And it weakens their hands. And, inconclusive investigations will lead to more crimes to be committed. And vulnerable people can be exploited for all manner of reasons. So the state itself must be seen to be somebody or something that is very serious when it comes to crimes and the prosecution of state.
See, great. Thank you. Thank you very much for speaking to us
You're
this
welcome,
morning.
Sada.
Yes.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Always a pleasure talking to him. Mr. Richard Kumadoe is a fraud and security consultant. He's also a former operative of the BNI. Always a pleasure talking to him. More on these issues of security. Big issue in Bawku. There's a need to ensure some relative peace. There must be an end to the killings in whatever form they take. And like he said, perpetrators must be punished. And that's one of the biggest issues, that we tend to see the violence as